came through again with another game-saving stop. How much pride do you take in that, winning all these games, preparing for the team?
I take a lot of pride in that just because of, a lot of people didn't think the defense would be doing as good of a job as that we are doing. So I take a lot of pride in us performing at a high level and having that consistency throughout each game week, having a high performance. So I definitely take a lot of pride in that.
I looked out there, everything was moving so fast because Marcus had the toe injury. You're a corner one play, then you're a nickel, then you move. How hard is that to change positions even mid-drive?
It has its challenges, but I feel like I've just gotten used to it just because I feel like I'm, a little bit more older guy and I kind of understand the scheme of what Coach V wants on defense and things like that. So, there's definitely a lot of guys who can play corner like Marcus Edmond, like Mark Fields. So, it definitely gives us a better opportunity to have guys who can step in and play corner. So I'm able to move into the nickel spot and pass and formations and things like that. So it definitely has its difficulties, but I feel like I'm taking it on pretty well.
You guys allow the two huge runs to Cook, and it seems like things are crumbling around you defensively. What goes into kind of getting rejuvenated and kind of getting back on track and swinging momentum back in your favor?
Well, yeah, we just got to regroup. We got to figure out, okay, on the sideline, because we don't have a lot of time to figure these things out, but we got to figure out, well, why did it happen, what can we correct, and so that those things that don't happen again. And I felt like we did a really good job of containing him in the first half. It was just simple things, not just, very simple things on defense that are easily correctable. So when things do happen like that again, we just, got to come together and figure out whose responsibility and why these things happen.
Not criticizing officials because we don't need you to get in trouble, but this has turned into the year of targeting and pass interference. Is it sometimes hard as a defender? Do you think about that, hard to know exactly what you're supposed to do? Sometimes you get flagged when you do it right.
Right, it's definitely, I feel like, an issue, but I mean, it's kind of just like when it happens, just like, all right, next play, so, I mean, as far as like a lot of the interferences that we got this weekend, I mean, maybe some were right, maybe some weren't, but like, again, we just try to like move on to the next play and have a short-term memory so that you're not thinking about that pass interference that you might have just got, because that can like affect you, the next play and so forth. But I definitely feel like a lot of those interferences might have not went our way, but yeah, just like next play type thing.
What's your first take on Syracuse offense?
Definitely a pass-oriented offense. They like to throw it around, spread teams. So we're gonna have to definitely tighten up our coverage, tighten up our man coverage. I definitely feel like we left some vulnerable spots, even for myself in that Florida State game. So just gonna have to get back to the basics this week of technique, of doing things right. They have good two good wideouts. I think one of them leading the nation in receiving and so forth. So yeah, we're just gonna have to get back to the basics, get our technique right, and because like we got to play man. That's what we do. So
what's the about he's got over 1,000 rushing yards?
Yeah, just a long guy, has a good release, but I feel like if we just, study film, study his tendencies and things that we can, take away from him, then we'll be able to maximize, maximize what we need to do against him. But I feel like he just has a good awareness of his routes. He has a good feel for the game at the wide receiver position. So it's going to definitely take a group effort.
It's obviously just Monday morning. Have you had a chance to watch them on film at all?
I watched them a little bit yesterday, not as much as I should have or I wanted to, but I definitely got to watch them some later Sunday or yesterday.
Coach, when he says this might be the fastest team as far as getting the plays off that you've seen, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. They're definitely a tempo-oriented team, but I feel like we're kind of used to that in practice just because we get a lot of that tempo, so it's not like it's something that we won't be used to, but they're definitely going at a high speed, so we're going to have to, get lined up, get the call as fast as we can, and go from there, but they're definitely moving at a high pace.
You're going into a November slate that all four of your opponents are going to be heavily underdogs, and this is going to be maybe the biggest game of their season. So how do you guys approach that now that you're over the hump with some of these bigger opponents? And obviously you guys know you got to try to stay undefeated as far as the playoffs go.
Right, and it's definitely just like a next game mentality. We don't want to like take this game and make it seem like it's any bigger than the Florida State game. Like each game every week is big to us. Even Pitt, Wake Forest, all those games are big games. We don't have any, going into this last stretch, we don't have any time for error or complacency or anything of that nature. We gotta, take it on full head of steam and, just keep our mentality that we got a one game at a time mentality.
Can you tell when you're out there against State Troy or an NC State when just that team on the other sideline is giving you their absolute best shot because this is one of the biggest games of their year? Yeah,
definitely. Every team was like when they're playing us, like we have a target on us. They're gonna bring everything they have because they want to beat Clemson. They want to beat us. So going in, I don't try to take anybody lightly. I try to take each opponent that I go against like, it's the biggest play right here. So they definitely, each team definitely brings everything they got when they play us. So which is rightfully so.
Gave up some passing yards the other night, but going in the game, you were the number 7 pass defense, allowing just 166 yards per game. Obviously, there are a lot of questions going into this season with the secondary, having lost 300 passing starters. How much pride do you all have in what you've done this season? And Coach Sweeney talked about the fact that you all put a lot more preparation before the games as a unit. Has it kind of felt like that compared to last season?
Yes, definitely. I just feel like we have a lot of chemistry in the back end. We just are talking, communicating, and preparing as far as watching film together and studying the opponent. And just like you said, that drop-off we did have with losing 3 DBs, we knew it was going to be a challenge going in. We knew like there was going to be room for a lot of scrutiny and things like that. But we just knew that, if we're going against the best receiving core constantly in Clemson every week, if we just work on our technique, work on the things we have to, we're not going to be overwhelmed by anything that we see as far as from other teams. So we're definitely taking a lot of pride in how we're doing in the back end. But, we're going to try our best to finish strong and to finish strong.
Florida State threw deep on you, a lot of jump balls. Was that the most you've been tested, do you think, as a secondary?
I think, definitely the most we've been tested. Definitely the most we've been tested. I felt like a lot of competitive balls that we made plays on, and then a lot of them were pass interferences, unfortunately. But again, just those little things that we can clean up that we'll, look at the tape and learn from. But I definitely feel as a whole that was probably the most we've been tested.
What's like your general reaction to winning the way you guys have over the last month with the 3 crazy finishes in addition to the Boston College?
It's definitely a crazy reaction, but I feel like, when we're the team that we are, there's going to be those tough games. So, just my reaction is like each game that we have these tough games is going to be a challenge each week because, like we said, like each team's going to bring everything they got. So my reaction is I'm ecstatic every time, our offense is able to make the drives that they do and our defense is making big stops and things like that. So, I'm ecstatic for our team, just for us to be able to finish the way we're finishing in these close games. And we're not just playing, teams or like simple teams. We're playing some really great teams that are giving their all they have to going against us. So I'm just ecstatic for us as a whole.
Does it make the undefeated record any more special or any kind of a different feeling because, again, you have survived these close calls here?
It definitely makes it feel special because, we're all fighting. We're fighting together as a whole, as a team. We're rallying together and coming out on top in these games. Of course, I wish they weren't this close, but, that just comes with being a good team and people wanting to play against you. So I'm definitely just ecstatic for us as a whole.
Ryan, it looks like from the outside watching that Bullware is a maniac on the field when he plays. Is it that same way when you're lined up with him?
Yeah, he's definitely a wild guy. Gets us hyped up before we take the field and things like that. But it's good. We need that leadership. We need that energy before we take the field. So I love having Ben's presence in the huddle before because I know for sure that he's going to give all he's got every play. So it makes me want to do my job and get my job done. So definitely great having his leadership in the huddle.
People want to say sometimes about him, he's maybe not as big as some top linebacking prospects, things like that. That doesn't slow him down or deter him. You see a solid, high class, one of the top linebackers in college football, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, a lot of times people are going to measure you by your measurables and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's your want to, it's your heart, and you know, just by watching Ben on film and on tape, you can tell like he loves the game, he loves giving everything that he's got. So, I mean, I don't ever question like his measurables because I know that 100% Ben's gonna give it every game. So.
Right, when you have a defensive line that's so good at generating pressure off the three-man rushers, how much of a luxury is that for you guys in the back end?
Oh, it's definitely a luxury having guys in the front that can rush and create problems for the quarterback. And then, so for us on the back end, we definitely take pride in our defensive line being very productive. You know, it definitely helps us. We're going to try to stay in coverage as long as we can, but having them put pressure on them, make sure the quarterback gets the ball out fast. So we know for going in, a lot of times with that pressure that the ball is going to come out fast. So we got to be ready to break on the ball as soon as, you know, it's hiked and stuff like that.
When you look at a guy like Renfro and his size and this, you know, walk-on dude that comes onto this program that has all these blue chip all-star guys, do you ever get amazed by what he's able to consistently do day in, day out?
For me, I'm not amazed just because I saw when he first got here, I saw like just the way like he ran his routes, the way like he was getting in and out of things. I said, oh, this guy's going to be on scholarship. This guy's going to be a player here. There's no doubt about it. And I love going against him, you know, in practice because it just helps me get ready if I'm in the slot going against, because there's not a lot of people that are making the type of routes and the type of cuts that Renfro is making. So I definitely wasn't surprised just because like I kind of saw it beforehand coming type of thing, but he's definitely excelling, and it's, you know, great to see that. It's great to see like him blossom into the receiver that he's becoming.
What is it about his routes? What makes him, you just said, I mean, not many guys do maybe what he does route running. What is maybe a little bit more in depth?
It's I feel like a lot of it is like his release off the ball, and when he gets that release and then that separation, is kind of hard to gain back up, and especially being in the slot, you know, it's easier to have a two-way go type of thing in the slot. So, you know, you're trying to cover the slant, and then you're trying to cover a fade ball or a corner route. But Renfro is special because he can create that separation at the line, and once he has you at the line, it's hard to get back in phase. So Renfro is special in that he creates some very good separation, and he gets in and out of his cuts very quickly. In his routes and the timing of his routes.
All good. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.